Hi, my name is Dr. Anjendra Targe. I'm a consultant psychiatrist and sexologist practicing in the city of Pune. I'm very passionate about mental health and sexual health. And being an alumnus of D.Y. Patil School of Medicine, Navi Mumbai, I give full credit to the Department of Psychiatry for giving me this powerful foundation, to hone my skills and to get me where I am today, enjoying my clinical practice. Today, I'm going to share a few of my thoughts on social media and its impact or its correlation with mental health.
As a psychiatrist, what is your take on the rapid emergence of social media platforms in our day to day lives?
Well, my take, firstly, that it was inevitable, a natural consequence of the evolution of technology, and with that, as humans. Social media in itself is not a problem. The problem is that we humans and our brains are at odds with the speed of technological progress. Human bodies evolve very slowly. Technology, however, at a very fast speed. Social media platforms are double-edged swords. Careful and
Substance addiction is a frequently spoken topic, but no addiction to social media platforms or gaming. Can you give us more insight on the same?
humans have what we call a fundamental seeking behavior, and modern neuroscience has even localized the areas of brain responsible for that. For instance, the neurotransmitter dopamine and the reward circuitry in our brains is primarily implicated in addictions. Addictions are basically seeking behaviors multiplied and magnified. The adverse impact of social media and gaming has been slow, it has been insidious, it has caught all of us unawares. Unlike substances, which have been societal scourges in eternity, social media and gaming is new, and we are only understanding the impact now. As we have more and more data on it, we have started to become much more aware of its impact. And at least in cities, metropolitan cities like the city of Pune, which I practice in, many people, at least young patients, are acknowledging it and also being forthcoming and seeking help for it.
Only the younger generation is addicted to social media platforms.
Well, like you said, it's just a myth. While the platform might vary, for instance, teenagers and young adults are more hooked onto apps like Instagram, Snapchat, whereas older people are getting sucked into the vicious spiral of WhatsApp. The technological algorithms of these platforms are devised in such a way that it becomes hard not to get sucked into this mindless scrolling. Remember the seeking circuitry of the brain I spoke about. We seek novelty, and the algorithms of these media gives us a constant influx of novel stimuli. It becomes very hard for our brains not to get sucked into them.
What is the impact of social media on the increasing number of cases related to anxiety, depression, aggressive and agitated behavior, as well as suicide?
Now, this is a slightly tricky question, and I wouldn't say there's a conclusive answer to that as of now. I mean, right now we can only talk in terms of a correlation and not a causation. I mean, I would in fact give some credit to social media, for it has been a massive, almost an unprecedented tool in creating awareness regarding mental health and mental illness. I mean, I personally use media like Instagram and Facebook to talk about mental health and sexual health all the time. I post what strikes me as important and what people should be aware of. So in that way, I mean, there has been no better tool than social media to spread awareness and relevant information. However, on the other hand, incorrect information and information from the wrong sources, which is irrelevant, unscientific, or inauthentic, can be very damaging, and that happens on social media too. But yes, in a slow, insidious way, indirectly, in ways like unhealthy comparisons, online bullying, social isolation, social media's conformity to, ridiculous beauty standards, mindless browsing, being always tuned into at the cost of real social connections, it does contribute to overall morbidity. The commonest prevailing symptom, common symptoms of inattentiveness, lack of focus, concentration, distractibility, which are all symptoms of what we associate with, depression, anxiety, ADHD, and so on. But I would attribute the internet and social media as big factors in causing these symptoms. We are more distracted than ever, both individually and collectively.
Has improved technology made people more prone to a sedentary lifestyle? How does this impact the well being of an individual?
In a way, yes.
Your take on the statement, more friends on social media means you're more social.
I go by the maxim a friend to all is a friend to none. So, again, an illusion. If you ask anyone about having genuine and meaningful relationships, meaningful connections with this flurry of friends on social media, they'll come out with a negative answer. As far as friendships and meaningful relationships are concerned, less is always more.
People seek validation from the society by counting the number of likes or comments. Is social media to be blamed for thoughts of self doubt?
We, are social animals, so we will need some amount of validation from our fellow humans. But yes, social media dials this up to an unhealthy level, especially amongst those who are already dealing with insecurities and problems like low self-esteem, low self-worth. And having said that, however, how people use it is a choice, and the key is striking that balance right. The good news is that some of the platforms, like for instance Instagram, it has already started giving the option of disabling the number of likes you see, or showing your app usage and so on. On iPhones, you can put screen limits to the usage of certain apps or all apps. So it depends on us.
Has social media interactions deprived people of the chance to develop a good interpersonal communication skills?
I'll answer that with a yes and no. I'll tell you why. Though through online options, many people who were too anxious to seek social connections and work on their communication and interaction have in fact benefited from the availability of training, via attending online talks and seminars, or just interacting with more and more people using this verbal mode of communication through online media. On the other hand, effective and empathetic communication is diluted, and we can't have any substitute to the learning and fine tuning that happens via real world connections. Eric Weiner, one of my favorite authors, he puts it this way: the mind numbing clamor that is social media, where the sound of the true is drowned by the sound of the new. The relevant and important sometimes, many times, get lost in the sea of trivial and irrelevant. So that's always a risk.
How can we control ourselves from indulging too much in these social media platforms?
Well, by taking time and reflecting on the nature of our social media use. Even if the algorithms are designed in a way to keep us hooked onto the apps via constant flow of, novel stimuli, like I said before, it's a choice that we make. Conscious reflection of our social media use will allow us to make better choices. If only we can, sit back, reflect, and assess how exactly we are using the social media, we can make better choices, and we can get ourselves out of this whirlpool of mindless scrolling. We can take breaks from screens altogether, setting time limits on our phones. But the most important aspect is engaging ourselves into physical activities, which you look forward to every day. It could be anything from reading, writing, spending time with nature, dancing, yoga, talking to people. Basically, practicing mindful living, being mindful of each activity, looking forward to some physical activities that you have.
Does the increasing number of social media platforms increase the average screen time?
Yes, the more the options, the more the temptation to seek novelty. The smartphone is a big distraction machine, and the easier it makes for us to access various stimuli, the more we unconsciously remain hungry for it. The mind then, is constantly distracted, and we don't even realize why and when before we consciously register. We have ended up spending hours together only to come out with a sense of exhaustion and anxiety.
How should one tackle the FOMO if someone has decided to reduce the time spent on social media platforms?
Yeah, FOMO. This word has really caught on. Yeah. How can we avoid it? Firstly, by cultivating a practice of enjoying solitude. People need to learn to enjoy time with themselves. A person who can be alone and well will not crave and depend on what's happening on the outside. Learning to cultivate a space which is just your own, one with things, hobbies, activities, one which is completely bereft from the virtual world of social media. By understanding that there will always be something going on out there in the virtual world, and that one can't and need not be always tuned in.
Social media has been the only way to keep ourselves entertained and connected to our friends and family during the pandemic. How can we stop negativity to interfere in this process?
Well, this is not true. The fact is, we have come to be accustomed to believe that social media or screens are the only way of keeping ourselves entertained or being connected. There are hundreds of other things which we can do for entertainment. I mean, I don't have to list them down. People entertain themselves fine enough, not even a decade ago when there was nothing called as social media. What we need to do is we need to just take a step back, get back in time, reflect and ask ourselves, what did we do when we didn't have WhatsApp, we didn't have Facebook or Instagram, you know also, why do we always have to be entertained or connected? A certain element of boredom and disconnect is not only inevitable, but it is desirable. Teaches us, a lot about life. Life is not always full of activity and stimulation. So if we accept that, it goes a long way in avoiding a lot of frustration and tolerance to boredom.
Is it really the social media or are the people using them responsible for negative impact on the mental health?
Social media surely does have an impact. I mean, like I mentioned, before, technology and the pace with which we use today is literally changing the way we think and behave, with anatomical, real anatomical and neurobiological changes that are happening in our brains. But we do have to realize that we do have control over our actions, and by understanding our usage, we can avoid sinking into these adverse impacts of it. Social media platforms are tools. Whether they impact us negatively or positively, in the end, it depends on us.
As a consulting psychiatrist, what would your advice be for the viewers, especially the younger generation?
The fact is, technology is here to stay. Social media platforms aren't going anywhere. I have high hopes from the younger generations, since they are much more aware and sensitive towards all the important causes of today, like concerns like mental health, climate change, inequality, discrimination, and so on. However, being aware translates into being more responsible. If people can start taking responsibility of their actions and be mindful of the impact that it can have not only on their lives but lives all around them, then, I mean, like all tools human have ever made, social media is also just that, a tool. The younger generation can usher us into a world where we are the ones who is using these tools rather than the other way around, which seems to be the case right now. What we see, what we consume, what we absorb, we become. We must be mindful of that. We must strike the right balance of connect and disconnect. That's the key. That's how I will end it. Balance between the connect and disconnect. If we manage that, I think we'll be good. Thank you.